Clarkson returned to host the quiz show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on Saturday night on ITV. However, the presenter was shocked by a particularly lucky win. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire returned to ITV on Saturday, and contestant Glenn was continuing his lucky streak on the quiz show. With a safety net set at £32,000, Glenn struggled with a film question, but his correct guess absolutely shocked both him and host Jeremy Clarkson. Jeremy couldn't contain his shock when contestant Glenn made it through with £32,000 on a pure guess, despite him being a cinema lover. He asked the contestant, "From the 2000 award ceremony onwards, the Best Actress Oscar has never been won by a woman that begins with which of these letters?" The options were the letters G, K, M, or W. The Grand Tour presenter seemed shocked by the difficulty of the question, and Glenn, who was a big film fan, seemed equally as perplexed. "I do like film, but I'm drawing a blank here if I'm honest," Glenn admitted. "I always struggle with the Oscars, and I'm trying to think of anybody with those letters. I'm thinking possibly W, might be Kate Winslet. I'm sure she's won an Oscar, but I can't say for what film," Glenn continued. The contestant kept speculating the answer and thought that K might be for Keira Knightley. Though Glenn was still unsure and, after much debate, elected to use his last lifeline and phone a friend. He called his best friend's wife Molly, but she struggled with answering the question as well. After Glenn read out the question, he seemed slightly panicked that Molly wouldn't know the answer to the very tough question. Molly tried her best, but she admitted to him it was a very tough one and had absolutely no idea. She failed to even guess an answer for her friend, leaving Glenn in a difficult position as he pondered whether to take a shot in the dark. "Nobody was ever going to work that one out in 30 seconds, Jeremy remarked. The host affirmed he had nothing to lose on this question as he had reached his safety net of £32,000. However, this didn't make things easier for Glenn, who later elaborated, "I can't think of anybody for G or M, so, whatever happens, I'm going away with £32,000. However, to Jeremy's surprise, Glenn decided to take the guess and chose G as his final answer. The answer was correct, much to the shock of both contestant and host, and Glenn laughed as Jeremy said to him, "What can you say? You just won £32,000 on a guess. A pure stab in the dark," the former Top Gear presenter exclaimed. "God, that's great, isn't it?" Nicole Kidman was the K, Helen Mirren, Julianne Moore, and Frances McDormand all won with an M, and Reese Witherspoon and Kate Winslet won with a W, Jeremy explained to Glenn. The host added, "Wow, I can't even think of an actress whose name begins with a G." Glenn immediately replied, "Greta Garbo. She's not really working at the moment," Jeremy sarcastically responded. Sadly, with no lifelines left, Glenn struggled with the next question about science, which was for £64,000. The contestant, who wanted the money to fix up his house and take his kids to Disneyland, decided to take the money.